Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the I Don't Know Running podcast, where we share our experiences that make running fun and sometimes not so fun. I'm Lewis, and I'm a self-admitted lazy ultra runner, but I'm also something else. I just haven't quite put my finger on it yet.
A non-runner?
Not quite a non-runner yet. I'm not ready for that.
All right. Well, I'm Mitch, and I'm looking for race entries and travel costs, basically a sponsor.
You only need like 12 more.
I know. But
To hit a goal, you only need like 12 more.
Right. I just wanted to get it early.
Yeah,
so
get it done.
Well, especially say it early in the podcast, so if somebody listens to it and they don't listen after that, they know what I'm looking for. I don't want it to be at the end.
Yeah, you normally wrap it up with that.
You're right. So I want to get it out
front.
I want to get it out front.
That's good. Like the hit. Maybe we should do that with the hit the like and subscribe and share on the front end.
Because this 50 state thing can be a little expensive, especially when I start looking at Hawaii and Alaska. So
I got to find somebody that we know in those areas. Yeah,
I'm fun to travel with, I think.
I can't believe we don't know anybody in either of those states that like by association.
Right.
I do remember running with not running with, but running into a girl when I did the Marquette Trail 50 one year. I don't remember what year, but anyway. Oh, matter of fact, yeah, it was the year that when we ran into her, her headlight went out. We were doing the 100K.
Oh,
it was the year they had the 100K, and so when they did the 100K, we started at like 2 a.m. 2 a.m. in the morning. Well, 2 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, 2 a.m. And
that's kind of night. I don't know.
Yeah,
is that morning?
It is early in the morning, but
on Strava it comes up as a night run. It doesn't come in as a morning run.
Oh yeah, that's weird.
Yeah,
should be a morning run. But we were out there, and her headlamp had went out, and and you know how tough Marquette Trail 50 is on that first loop.
Yeah,
you know how rocky that can be. Well, we did that backwards, and then we did it back the normal way before we headed out, and we ran into her, and come to find out she was from Alaska.
You should have talked to her more.
Yeah, I should have. I should have had the forethought to go, well, someday Mitch is going to want an entry into an Alaskan race.
Kind of angry with you right now.
Yeah. Well, that is not what we're here to talk about.
Well, I just wanted that's my role in. Speaking of non-runners, our guest Senez is a non-runner. I mean, you guys have a lot in common right now.
That's pushing it a little, but yeah, right now we definitely have that in common. Neither one of us run.
No, exactly.
Welcome, Senez Rodriguez, to the podcast. Really great having you. Senez, he is a non-runner. However, his son is a runner turned crazy leap 100-mile ultra runner, potentially.
Right.
His son is running the Leadville 100, and Senez is going out to crew him.
Yes.
And we wanted to get Senez on to talk about crewing because he's not a runner. He has not lived in that realm. You were introduced to us by Rudy, Mitch's personal photographer.
My personal race photographer.
Yeah. Introduced us to him to say, hey, his son's going out and doing Leadville, and his son has never run an ultra. I believe he may have by now in training maybe or something.
Close, but he
hasn't ran an ultra. But he's doing one of the toughest 100 milers that right now, at least anyway, is on the books.
That's what he keeps hearing. That's what we keep hearing. And the closer it gets, the little, I'm paying attention, and then I want to know as much as I can about how to crew. And I didn't even know it was called crew until I, talked to Rudy and you guys.
Yeah, crew and pace. So you have an opportunity. You can pace them while you're out there. So are you training for that?
If I can be on a bicycle.
They said no bikes. I was looking at the website.
Yeah. It's funny though, because you do bring up the pacer point. It's people that don't run, even some people that do run a little, really get nervous about pacing in a 100 miler because they think, oh my goodness, that person has to be crazy fast. There's no way I could keep up with them. That's just not the case. Like, especially depending on where you pace in a race, because there's a good chance, especially with your son, Josh, who has not yet run an ultra, he's going to hit the lowest of lows he's probably experienced, because when you get deep into a 100-mile race, and when I say deep, I mean 50 to, let's say, 80 miles, those 30 miles can be the worst. I mean, But
I get excited about that because I think people don't get to experience that. Like there's so much life in that. It doesn't sound like it, but to get to your lowest point and then come out of your lowest point. That's what I like about ultras. I mean,
and do it multiple times.
Yeah, and that's exciting. Like it might not sound exciting to a lot of people, but it is. I mean, it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that when Josh was talking about it, they understand. I mean, he's a Marine, so he's been pretty low. He did his.
I'm sure.
Yeah, he did his boot camp in Paris Island.
Okay.
And from July to October.
Okay.
So it's pretty hot.
Oh my God.
So that's one of the things he was talking about, him and his friend, about there's going to be a point, we know, that we're going to like not want to do this anymore, and then we just need to kind of be mentally tough.
Yeah.
Get pushed through it. So
that is the one thing. It's funny because I did my boot camp. I was in the Marine Corps also. We talked about this briefly, and I did my boot camp from July to October as well, but in California.
Oh, okay.
So, yes, similarly, it got hot out there as well. Direct sunlight, and a lot of it. Not the humidity that Paris Island has, though, or some of the bugs too. I understand Paris Island is notorious for just the bugs. Anyway. So yeah, I've been low with having been in the Marine Corps as well, and I can say boot camp is its own thing, right? Like, yeah, but you will hit mental lows, to me, at least to me anyway, in a 100 miler that I didn't get in the Marine Corps. Now I was definitely set up going into boot camp. Like my recruiter really set us up well, expecting the absolute worst. So I went in thinking it was going to be the worst nightmare I could ever imagine. Sets you up differently, right? Perspective is everything. But during my first a few hundreds, definitely hit lows I would never have experienced anywhere else.
In the Marines, isn't there what do they call that where you're up for 24 hours?
Crucible.
Well, it's funny because like I was up for the first probably close to 60 hours when I first went in. Like when I went to boot camp, they have a week. The first week is just, I don't remember what they call it, but they call it something, where you show up, you're not in your actual platoon yet for boot camp. You're with a lot of the same people. You just haven't been given to your drill instructors yet. And that first 3 days, they keep you up almost the entire time. Like you might get an hour nap in there or something, but they keep you up almost the entire time. So you learn very quickly, you need to grab sleep wherever you can, and you will learn how to sleep in the worst conditions possible just to grab 20 minutes or whatever. But anyway, let's get back to...
Well, my point is that there is a lot of stuff that he's been through that does prepare you. I mean, that the normal person would not get that preparation.
100%. That's very true. That is one of the things I think about. You're right, because there's things of 100 that I pull from my Marine Corps time where it was like, I mean, I went through that. I can get through this night of walking. Yeah. You know, you slow down from a run for sure.
See, I can pace him in walking probably.
Well, and that's what I was getting to. There are points in that 50 to, well, actually it could be anywhere from 30 miles, honestly, till 80 miles.
But look at the elevation chart again. So there's going to be a lot of walking in that race no matter what, because you're going up mountains.
Yeah.
In that one.
Yeah. So all that to say, there are points in that race that you could absolutely pace. And when we say pace, it's really not that you are pacing as much as encouraging to keep going. And there are points in the race.
And keeping them safe, like especially at the nighttime hours. That's what that pacer's job is like if they're starting to fall asleep, making sure that they don't fall off the side of the trail or anything like that.
Or stay on the trail, make sure they're hitting their turns. And we'll get into a little bit of that here later in the podcast. But all that to say, there's certainly things that are moments in the race where you could pace, especially shorter segments if they have them. I don't know that Leadville necessarily does.
Jumping ahead, the interesting part, there's only 4 points.
For crew access.
For crew access, and it is an out and back, so it's really 8 points if you want to look at it that way.
Is it?
Yeah, because you hit them both twice. So there's 4 main aid stations that the crew can go to.
But is that considered? I guess I didn't look that close. Is it 8?
It would be 8 because you hit each one twice.
Well, or is it that the 4 points are actually 2 points that you hit twice?
No, it's 4.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Then that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Then.
Yeah, it is.
So there may be some shorter segments. And if it's his first, it is his first. And honestly, even if it wasn't, there's times where when I ran hundreds, I wanted my mom to come out and just do a short segment, do a 4-mile segment with me. Because like at Woodstock, you could make it work.
You could.
They're pretty lax there with where crew can get in. And I was just thinking, and she's walked, but never ran. And I thought, man, it would be fun to just have her along for like 4 miles. So similarly, like even though you don't run and not a runner, there's a potential. Again, I don't know if Leadville has it, but if it does, I would say, don't let I'm not a runner, I don't want to slow him down. You're not going to slow him down. Trust me.
Okay.
You're going to be able to keep up. So let's jump into the reason this all came about was we wanted to talk about crewing and what it is. Give Senez a little bit of a snapshot of all right, this isn't just show up and all right, here's your goo. See you later. There's a lot to crewing.
Yeah. Yeah. I've crewed more than you have, probably, because I've crewed you and I've crewed Brian.
Yeah.
And Ashley, I guess, for that matter.
Yeah.
But it's not easy. It's not like you think they're doing the hardest work, obviously, but you're up all of that time too. So if he's up for 30 hours running,
you're up
for 30 hours.
Yeah.
Or longer.
Wow. Okay.
This is something that Josh will appreciate, being in the military period, but then being in the Marine Corps. It is definitely a hurry up and wait mentality. Because you're going to, he's going to come into an aid station and you're going to get everything around. You're going to help him out. You're going to do whatever he needs. You're going to get him out. And then you're going to want to, at least I would recommend, hurry up and get to the next aid station. The reason being is you don't know what kind of a segment he's going to have. If you think, the next segment's 3 hours and it only takes us 30 minutes to get there. Well, he might have a great segment. And because you planned lunch and it ended up taking you whatever the time is, and he's an hour ahead because he just had a really great segment, you could miss him. And you obviously do not want that, right?
We almost missed Ashley at one of the segments when she did Pinhoti, it seems like. We're both, Charles and I were falling asleep in the car, and all of a sudden I kind of opened my eyes, and I'm like, she just ran right by the car.
Oh, my
we got to
goodness.
jump out quick and catch her and make sure she's good.
So what do you do at these aid stations? Because this is all foreign to me.
Yeah.
This is in a certain ways exciting because it's something I've never done before.
Right.
So I'm always open to learning something new.
Yeah.
But you guys are, I have this weird ideas in my head. I can't, you're saying these things. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
They take off. You go where? What can you? It's like how far can you follow?
Yeah. Let's jump into that.
I don't know. It's
so the best part about this is Lewis has a lot of experience and he's a preparer. So I don't know how your son is as far as, knowing what he's going to need. So Lewis knows.
We have no idea what we're going to need.
He would pack a different bag even for a different aid station that we would carry, and we'd walk it in there and knowing, like you can do stuff like you can pack it loosely. Simple things like he might need to change his socks because he's got a hot spot on his foot, or change his shoes out because they're wet and whatever. So he will have multiple pairs of shoes packed up that we'll carry in there. We might be carrying the same damn thing out. That does happen.
Yeah.
So we'll carry things in. Like he might want to change his shirt. He might need some anti-chafing cream for a hot spot or something like that. He might want to actually change his shorts because he's getting chafed in a place that he doesn't want to get chafed in. So there's a lot of stuff. We'll carry extra towels so he can, you wrap a towel around you so you can change. But it's not, run plenty of marathons, and you're not changing that stuff out in a marathon. Maybe off-road if it's hot, you might have to. But that's the little things you have to worry about. Chafing can kill your race.
Yeah.
It has killed a race. Blisters. You'll have to carry stuff like that lethal tape, or just that, and like the stuff. If you get blisters, you might have to tape up blisters on your feet, stuff like that.
Yeah, I will say like a Leadville, because it's such a well-known, well put together, long history race. They more than likely at almost every aid station will have medical crew that will be able to help with blisters and stuff like that. I would say. Not guaranteed. Never leave anything up to the race. I will say that. As a crew, you want to, and as a racer, you want to be able to support yourself 100% and fall in the race for every backup. Now, not to say that you can't use the race for everything, but I just would never want to leave it up to the race to give me what I need.
Right.
Well, the beauty is that we talked about this beforehand, is your history. Like your
previous, used to be a paramedic.
Used to be a paramedic. That's perfect.
Wow.
So you'll be able to carry.
Right.
You'll be able to help them a lot with some of that stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. That one of the reasons I wanted to do it is provide him support. He had a choice between me and his mom and my wife, and he the reason he actually chose decided. Well, we have a couple of things going on that day. One of our sons is actually flying off. He's in the Peace Corps. He's going off to Africa for his 2 years. And he's leaving, I think, that same day or the day after Josh is running. So we left it up to Josh to decide. And he kind of said, well, I think I'm going to have Dad because, you're my mom and you're going to probably be more like, it's okay, you can quit. You don't have to do it. And he goes, I know Dad will be like, come on, stick it through,
Yeah.
So I wanted to be a part of that because of some of the stuff I did, as a paramedic. And,
you'll be a great asset then. Yeah, for sure.
Is there anybody else going with you at this point?
There, I believe his running partner has other people, and so that's the other thing I wanted to find out. Okay, what does a typical crew look like? I mean, is it?
So
you have
two things.
You got your fire team. You have different roles. Okay, what is a bare minimum or a?
So two things come to mind right off the bat. Number one, don't rely on his partner's crew. Whoever's running with him and he's taking a crew, 100% do not think that you can do with them. And the reason being is they are going to hit low points at different times. They just are. And you may end up where they're like, no, we're going to run together the whole time. That would be great, and
it could happen.
And it could happen. I've done that where a buddy, Pete, and we ran 5 100s almost step for step together. But we went
and
in.
you learned to hate them.
You learn to both, get through a lot of tough times and all of that. But we went into those races going, we know how to get through 100. Let's just stick together and sort of crew each other and pace each other through these 100s. So we went into it knowing that this is their first 100.
Yeah.
Or at least your sons. Both of them. So there's a good chance Josh is going to be feeling good. He's not going to want to wait because you gotta set your own pace at some point.
Because your low points are going to be at different spots.
Yeah.
So they might finish similar, but they got to be able to run when they feel good. So
Yes.
it makes sense to split up at points.
Okay.
There's a lot of where you could drag each other along, but they're probably going to be at different paces, even if they run the same pace.
Yeah,
at
because
different
face
points.
it, let's say, what's Josh's buddy's name?
Kivy.
Kivy. So let's say Kivy is just, he's out. Like, he is not going to be able to hit a cutoff. Well, Josh, he wants to continue. He might be feeling good.
Yeah.
So Josh takes off. Well, Kivy might bounce back and then start going again. And so I would 100% do not rely on his crew to be able to help.
So make sure you have two separate
Josh.
cars
Okay.
for that. Because
Two
we've done that
cars.
too. Because when you and Pete were running in Brian, we had a crew for Brian.
Yeah.
And we had a crew for you and
Yeah.
Pete, basically.
Yeah, only because Pete and I were live and die by we were going to finish together. And so that's the only reason it
And
worked.
they weren't, I mean, you can't say an easy 100. There's no such thing.
Right.
But they weren't like crazy elevation change. There were ones that you knew that you could get through.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you were running like the hardest. Like you would not have run side by side with him when he ran Western States if you both ran at the same time.
No,
you would have done your own
definitely
thing
not.
then.
That was
at
our own
point.
race. Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole reason of the staying together was we were going to do the Midwest Slam together. And so we did. So all that say, I would, if I were you, I would plan on your own car
Okay.
and plan on your own crew. And
Okay.
and at minimum, bare minimum, I would say 2.
2, okay.
Better to have 3. The reason being is
Two drivers.
2 drivers.
Gotcha.
And if you get tired, you got to be able to rely on whoever you take with you to also drive.
And I did that with Charles, and then the problem is he got out and paced, and it's just one driver. So if you have anybody that's going to pace, you want 3.
3.
So
okay.
and a pacer is a good idea.
How long do you pace for?
Whatever
It
you want.
depends. The race,
So
race can dictate that, or your runner can dictate that.
I think on that, the earliest you can pace is at mile like 62 in that race. I can't remember what I was looking at it, and
Right.
which sounds about right.
Okay,
So
so,
you could
before
pace-
then you can't. You're not going to be
Correct,
able to
yeah.
be with them while they're running through certain
Correct.
parts of it.
Yeah.
You're just waiting at an
Usually-
aid station until.
So usually, and the athlete guide will have this, and that's one of the things I wanted to bring up. I mentioned it earlier. Is you like the athlete? So they call it the athlete guide, right?
Okay.
So yeah, Josh needs to read that. He needs to know it. But as the crew, you need to know it and know it better than Josh does. So you need to pull that athlete guide out. And I saw that this one, they release it about a month before
Okay, I
the
was going to
race.
say I haven't seen anything.
Yep.
And I'm,
Now they do have the 2022 athlete guide on there. I would go there and I would
Start looking at that.
start looking it over. Don't memorize it, but just get a feel for it. And then when the 2023 one comes out, memorize it. Like know it. Like
And print it out and take it with you at
Yeah,
points. I would
okay.
do that.
It is super, super helpful. Number one, you won't be asking questions because one of the things that we did when we went out and crewed Brian, he gave us the athlete guide. We didn't read it. And he just kept saying, hey, that's in the athlete guide. Like he said it a little different, but he was,
Brian, if you're listening and you could post what you actually said when this releases,
yeah,
I would appreciate that.
yeah. He kept telling us, did you read the guide? Did you read the guide? Did you read the guide?
Did you read the
Guide.
guide?
And we really, I mean, we browsed it, right? Like I looked it over, but I didn't lock stuff in. But I would highly recommend that you go read that athlete guide, read the crewing guide too.
so there's a crewing guide as well. So there's
well,
two
it's
of
more
them.
of a crewing section.
Okay.
But the athlete guide is an actual guide. It's probably like 26 pages or so, 30
There's-
pages.
Things that really, that really do matter. There are only 4 points that you can see them twice, and there are rules. And if you don't follow the rules, you could disqualify a runner. And
Well, okay.
so
Yeah, that
you-
would be bad.
that would be bad. You don't want to be that guy. And there's a lot of people that think that they're special because there's other points that you cannot go to. And if you go to those points, you're going to,
Potentially disqualify your runner.
yeah. And there's reasons for that. Like they
Yes.
only have so much space. They don't want all that business there. So they've set up in these spots for you to go see them. One of those, new for this year, it looks like when I was
Yeah.
reading in there,
May
is only at
Queen.
there's only a shuttle that goes in there, so you can't park the car. You have to line up, and you have to
backpack
carry
everything.
You
or
have to
whatever it is.
Yep. So you need a shuttle in there.
Yep.
Because it must be tight, and we
Yeah.
had some of that stuff for Western States as well.
And a part of that too is understand a lot of these races go through areas where they need to pull permits for. They need to get okay from like a Forest Service or something like that. And if people take advantage of like the rules and don't follow them, they could get booted out of those areas. So there's reasons behind those rules. And I don't think you're the kind of guy that pushes that, but there are a lot of people that do. And they threaten the races by doing that because they're going to have to find different routes.
Gotcha.
Like Hope Pass is like a crazy, well-known part of that race. Well, if they don't continue to get the permits that they have to be able to get to run or to have runners go through those areas, that would change that race drastically.
What's funny is it's more laid back than that. You just have to respect it. Like I was so worried at Western States when we're out there that we were going to do something wrong, and it's pretty laid back.
Sure.
But they just, I mean, obviously they need to be serious. Like there was one place, like a Green Gate, when we went in there, and they talked about parking and stuff like that because the locals, the locals don't like that race. So you just got to
in that area. There's a particular either one person or a few people that are not happy.
They are not happy
Not
for that
excited
because it's
about
at night and it's probably loud and stuff like that. It's just got to not be a jerk. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
You know, and but it's just things that you have to keep in mind. Like
honest mistakes will probably be forgiven, but you know. Okay.
Yes.
That's good. That's good to know.
And just be humble with if they jump down your throat, just be, oh wow, I did not know that. Super sorry. Just made a mistake. And they chances are they won't. It is the trail running community is an amazingly supportive
I've never
community.
been yelled at for something I've done when I'm out there. It's
but just be respectful. I think that's very, very true. That's a good statement. Just be respectful and understand that a lot of times you might be on somebody's property. And so, so anyway, so crew, I would recommend three.
Ideal to be three.
Ideally, if you could have three people, you and two other.
All right.
And then
be prepared to be awake the entire time. You were saying,
you'll get naps. Like you'll start
that's the
to
hurry
understand.
up and wait part.
So the thing is though is
that might be good thinking. Get over there, get a nap in.
Yeah,
right.
If you can,
and set an alarm, and that we'll get into more of that. But the thing is though is like I did not look up to see how far because you're in the mountains.
That's what
it might only be 20 miles to get from point A or like
whatever
as the crow flies. But if you're on mountain roads,
it might take you 3 hours.
Right.
That's very possible.
Yeah.
Like it might be a 20-mile session for him, and that's what we had for Western States.
Yeah.
It like for the first, I can't remember
the first one.
The first one, it took
Robinson.
us. I think it took us 3 hours to get there from the start.
And for us, it's only 30 miles.
Yeah,
31 or something
so
like that.
You're huffing it. It's like, okay, you guys got time to maybe eat breakfast, but you need to get in the car as soon as you eat breakfast and drop them off and get over there.
Gas.
Yeah, be ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because it does take the runners quite a long time to get through that 32-mile or whatever section, but you definitely don't want to be messing around. You know,
I was thinking you got that huge van. What's the town that we came into?
Forest Hill.
Forest Hill, but then the little neighborhood that you come out of, and you do that nasty climb.
Oh, up to Michigan Bluff?
Yeah. And then we had to park way away.
Oh, yeah, and take the shuttles in.
You could take the shuttle, and Brian and I walked, but how far it was to get in there.
It's like a mile and a half.
But I remember we tried to nap because we were early enough, and we're all in that huge van, and that air conditioner couldn't keep up. So we're in there sweating our butts off, we're all trying to nap, and we're all miserable. It's like, this isn't working.
Well, it was also like 100 and something crazy degrees. It was hot.
I know. It was like laying out in the sun. I know you're running, but your job was not as hard at that point as the rest of us.
Says Nicole. I remember when we crewed Brian out there, it was the same thing. Jason, Nicole, and I, we were trying. Were you were out there too?
Yeah.
For Brian.
I was out there.
We tried to sleep in that van, and It was almost impossible.
'Cause
The problem is, well, there is the whole heat and air conditioning thing, but you are going to be amped up. Just like your runner is, you are going to be amped for your runner. It is so hard to go, all right, let's take a nap. We're not tired. You're like geeked. You're fired up, and you're waiting for your runner. You're excited for your runner, and you're checking on your runner. And half the times the check-ins don't work, so you're aggravated about that. I mean, so yeah, it's a hurry up and wait. Definitely a hurry up and wait situation, and I would recommend to hurry up and wait. So
I was gonna say, going back to what he needs, I think I would start there.
Yeah, so let's
stuff that he's gonna want.
So
and
yeah,
you're
so
gonna carry.
2 things I would recommend. Number one is if you do end up with 3, I would try to have, and I don't know that we've really done this. I asked for it at Western a little bit, and I think it did kind of work out. But if you can say you are going to handle nutrition and feet, right? Joe, whoever goes with you, you are going to handle shade and I don't know, something else, clothing requirements that he asks for. And then the third person is you handle every other request that he throws out. If he comes in and says, I want a beer, go or whatever, go find X, right?
Well, I'm just
Can you have a
laughing.
beer?
Yeah, you can have whatever you want at those
sweet.
things. Yeah.
Well, that's why I laugh, because Lewis was having a hard time getting calories in at one of the stops. And he's
Yeah.
like, oh, I just can't get anything down. Because that's a real problem, is getting enough food down. And
so
things sounding good.
And you're just like throwing out like, maybe I can do this.
And he's like, I think I want a beer. So we ran to the grocery store before the next stop, got a 6-pack of beer, and he takes the 2 sips. He's like, nope,
This
not
ain't going to work.
And here's Brian. Like, oh, I can't waste
Yeah, let
this.
that go.
He drank it.
Yeah, you do scramble for
But-
whatever you could possibly get down. So there's a chance he's going to come in and say, this sounds good. And that's the other thing. If he comes in and says, this sounds good, get him that. Because if you think anything sounds good, that's what you eat.
And he should be practicing with that type of food now while he's out running. So he should be trying to see what he can stomach. Lewis wanted watermelon. I think we carried watermelon. I think we carried a lot of watermelon
And
that
I
he did
barely
not
touched
that he
it.
did not eat.
But be ready for that.
Right. Okay.
So
There so much changes in the course of a race. You might plan, and he says, ham sandwiches work perfectly for me. Race day comes and he can't touch a ham sandwich. You just don't know until race day shows up.
And what I found is I was drinking those Core Powers too, or even what's the other, Ensure. Is a good thing.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing to carry. It's a lot of calories that he can drink to get down, but he's got to stay on his nutrition early.
Okay.
And then eat what he can, because once you run out, that's where your lows come in. So there's going to be parts where he cannot eat, and you got to try to keep feeding that.
Yeah, the saying is eat early and eat often.
Okay.
Eat early
Not
and eat
wait till
often.
you're-
Do not wait. From the first aid station, he should be throwing down calories. Whatever looks good on the table, eat it.
And staying on those electrolytes.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be sweating. He's going to be,
Yeah. And so for crew, your job is going to be pushing that, obviously. Push him to eat.
And remember to take care of yourself at the same parts, like carry food and eat and do that stuff. And you don't want to be him taking care of you at some point because you forget.
Yeah. So to the point of what you guys, the biggest thing is he's going to have to do the bulk of the work, right?
No, I say the crew is much harder.
No. I mean, as far as putting together his list of requirements, I want this at this aid station. So your job is going to be then to know what is that list. He has 30 things on this list at crew access point 1, right? You need to know what that is.
And how does he come up with that list? This is his first one. He's never done it before.
So
is there like a guide that,
I will.
The dummy's guide to.
I will say this for me, and Mitch brought it up. I like Brian and I are 2 very different runners at 100 milers. Brian can grind it out and he doesn't need a lot.
He won't ask for a lot either.
Yeah.
Like, he's funny. He won't, like, he doesn't want to be a problem. That's just his whole makeup anyway.
Yeah, and I will overpack.
Lewis is a diva.
Well, I'll pack everything in the hairdryer.
I'd rather,
and if I don't need it, I don't need it.
I'd rather be that way. Where it's
Yeah,
like, hey, I have
because
Green Kate, I carried a lot of crap down there that I
but
carried
I also
back.
changed a lot of stuff too.
Not that much.
I changed socks and shoes.
If I could have just carried socks and shoes down there, I would have been happy.
See this? The crew complaining, and yet you're out there grinding through 100 miles.
I still say,
I would still do
next
Green
time
Gate.
anybody does Western States, I'm not going to Green Gate. I'm just saying
There's
that.
two sides. One is on the river before you cross the river.
I'd say do a drop bag at the other side of the river with a new pair of shoes, and then we only meet you on the first side of the river. Just saying. That's a long ways in.
It is a hike. I mean, I did it, and I didn't think it was that bad. I did it for Brian. I didn't think it was that bad.
You're forgetting. It's a pain in the butt.
No, I'm not a baby. So
wait, let's be clear.
So anyway, he might have a list of 30 things, right? And I would recommend, I would recommend overpacking. I mean, you don't want to set yourself up for like, no, I'm just gonna be hard. I'm gonna grind it through. That's gonna bite you, especially in your first one.
Be hard.
Yeah,
definitely multiple pairs of shoes.
Yeah,
work for him.
I would say at every
multiple pairs of socks and good socks. Like he needs. Yeah. I don't know if he spent money on socks yet.
No, he hasn't done any of that stuff yet.
So
because he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Right?
And hopefully we do another episode where we
with him.
Where we talk.
I would love for him to.
Yeah.
Talk with you guys.
And I would say like those exoskin socks are amazing.
Yeah.
And not
exoskin socks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exoskin socks, short shirts. Like I wear it all.
I'm not crazy about the shirts.
Yeah.
What's an exoskin sock? Is it like
it's
like
a brand? Exoskin is the brand.
Okay, all right.
And
but what does it do? What's so great about the sock?
No chafing. No chafing. Period.
Running? Do they make bathing suits? Because sometimes
you could probably use their shorts. You could use their shorts as a bathing suit.
Okay.
Like Mitch said earlier, chafing can kill a race. 100%.
I can shut it right down.
Yep. Yeah. We've both
especially
been in the situation.
Special areas.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. We've both been in a situation where it almost cost us a race. We were able to basically put our hands down our shorts and just pull it out to get through the race. It was
like holding onto my shorts,
and you're doing that for like 20 miles
to stop all the hurt down there. And then I had a friend that was pacing me. It was 100K and laughing at me, and I'm like, no, this hurts bad. This hurts really bad.
That you think.
You're rubbing off skin. You get down.
Well, that's
you can get down to muscle.
And once it's done, you can't just put petroleum jelly on there and make it go away.
Yeah,
once it's done, it's done. It's going to hurt.
Yeah.
So anyway, exoskin. At least there are other things, but for me,
anti-chafing for me, it's that squirrel nut butter is probably the best thing and I know you like the 2 Toms. I think 2
Toms. Yeah, I'll do the powder or the
just
the
for the name. I'm going with the nut butter.
Yeah, squirrel's nut butter. I think they branded that knowing that will sell.
But that's good stuff. It's all natural too, I believe. But he needs to slather
so
that
is where his brain plays.
That needs to be slathered in his butt crack all the way around. I'm telling you, without like that is.
He does that, right?
Load all
he
that
does
stuff
that.
in. Okay, now I'll tell you what.
Well, you might have to help him. You might have to help him. You got.
Oh no,
you're a paramedic. You can do this.
You should read David Goggins' the book. I'm like 3/4 of the way through his second one. Can't kill me yet, or not down, or something like that. Anyway, he talks about that in I think it's his wife. Maybe it wasn't his wife at the time, but anyway, I think maybe it was. But anyway, talks about some of the stuff that she would have to do for him
while he was running,
and it's not pretty and not fun.
I've helped Lewis change his socks and wiped off his feet with a towel.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm good with that.
Just not. But
you draw the line there.
I've done it.
Is that why you got out of being a paramedic?
Maybe. Yeah.
Some things, are too much.
You can put gloves on.
Yeah.
But I would. It's funny because there are things that
not enough money that can spend on therapy afterwards.
Yeah, right. I don't use a lot and this is where he should be experimenting with what works for him, what's comfortable for him, because there are people that can just run with whatever, and there are people that can't. Like I want to make sure I'm best set up to succeed. And for me, if I have a little bit of a scratch going, that's fine for 5 miles, not for 100.
Right.
Does he have a pack yet? Has he looked into that kind of stuff? Because he needs to run with a pack, and he should be running with that now. So there's a couple out there,
but I'm not sure.
I would.
He's just.
We'll talk about that when we talk to him.
Yeah.
But like there's a couple. You like the orange mud with the bottles. I like something that sticks to my chest more. Like I do. Like I have a Ultimate Direction. I know Solomon has a good one too, that stays tight. One of the things.
There's no rubbing though. Then that way, if it's too.
Right, and one of the things I learned from Brian. Just a couple weeks ago, he had a button-down shirt on when he was running. And I'm like, seriously? And he's like, oh, you know what sold me on this? Is it's got a collar and my pack doesn't rub. I'm like, oh, I'm buying one. So they make them this. I found
They're
one
running specific. Yeah,
they're running specific. They're stretchy, and it snaps. You can open it up when you get hot, and it's all got holes in it. This thing, it's like a running button-down shirt. It is the goofiest looking thing, but I think it's an amazing idea. But it's got that collar on it to stop some of the rubbing.
Okay.
Yeah. So from the crewing side, I would. So yeah, let's just recap a little bit here. So I would recommend 3.
So I have to recruit 2 more people.
I would recruit 2 more people so you can have at least, and make sure 2 of those can drive.
Okay.
And then the list, like so. What he's going to want, you should know what he has. Like, so for instance, out at Western, so I had all the crew come up to my room and said, look, this is what's in aid station 1. You laugh.
No, I'm still laughing because we're all like not taking it serious enough, and he's getting mad. Like he was sitting there like,
I mean, it's just like it's important to know what's
it
in
was
there.
important. We were being jackasses for sure,
Yeah.
but it was just funny. Like how listen, like you need to pay attention. Like, oh, okay. Like I felt like I was in school all of a sudden.
Yeah,
He gets that way once in a while.
You gotta get people's attention. But yeah, I would have him
Dust cap on you as you're walking.
Yeah, they all should have wore one that day.
And we didn't read the program.
Yeah, well, it was their second time, so they probably didn't really need to read it that time. I didn't recommend. Or I didn't say it like Brian did. But anyway, I would have the list, and I would have him go through the list because you're going to want to know what's in that.
And he would pull the bags out, and it was a good thing. I'm making fun of him, but like we would go through the bags and what was in each bag. So he had multiple bags out there, and then we have the spreadsheet that we'll go through at some point too. And he would put on there like, ask me this question. So I was in charge of that list. So I'd have to stand out there with that list and call it out to the rest of the crew and say, this is what he asked us to ask about. Like it would be like you were using, I think,
Google Sheets.
Yeah, Google Sheets, but we had the printout, but you were asking for electrolytes. Like what we had hey,
so
ask me to top this off at this point.
Yeah, so the reason I did all of this. So the reason I did this is because number one, I'm asking people to travel and take their time away from their life and stay up all night, upwards of 30 hours plus, because if it takes them 30, you're going to be up for like 36.
Yeah.
Because you got to get up early to get there, finish the race, and then get back to. I mean, you're up for a long time, right?
We get slap happy at that point.
So the reason I did as much as I did was because I want to make it as easy on the crew as possible. I don't want them to have to assume anything. I don't want to get upset with them because why didn't they ask me this or why didn't they give me that?
Which he did anyway.
I think inevitably there's a chance that you will, but it's not because you're really mad at it. It's just because of the mindset you're in.
Right.
So what I did was I had actually came up with this spreadsheet, and this spreadsheet.
He's a total geek.
Well, I'm actually not, but because if I was a real geek, this would be even bigger. But what I did,
your geekiness is coming out because you want to make it bigger.
No, I think it's pretty decent the way it is, but you can do a lot with this. But I have every aid station, And then I have highlighted every aid station in yellow, every aid station where crew can be at. And I actually put on there where crew can be, yes, or where crew can be, no. And because I want them to know, don't go to this aid station. Okay. You can get me disqualified if you do this. And I'll share this spreadsheet with you guys both. And then what I do is I told you this earlier, I have 4 different plans, an A, B, C, and a D plan. A being everything is phenomenal that day, and I have a PR kind of a day. D being what's the race cutoff? Those are the limits. And then B and C are somewhere in the middle, right? Like, all right, this might be a decent day or this might be a little less than decent day. But anyway.
Which is very good for the crew because you can look at that and you can see because it does calculate out. So you put in your total time and it calculates time out between those aid stations. So then you can look at it and say, I should expect them by this time. And if he doesn't make it to the first aid station by that time, you can start calculating out and you can look at it differently and say, okay, it's B.
Yeah. Right.
And then you can kind of know when to start looking for them.
Yeah.
Plus any athletic trackers if that's out there.
If it works and if it's current.
So you're kind of trying to track them that way. So it sounds worse than what it is, but it is fun. It keeps your mind busy while you're doing this at the same time.
So for instance, this one was Javelina, and I have Javelina headquarters as number 1, right? Because it's going to be Leadville. That'll be your number 1. And then I have Coyote, Jackass, and Rattlesnake, and then Javelina, again, headquarters. So they were looking at, and I had plugged in some race prediction or some average pace times, and he'll want to do that, like whatever. He's going to run an 8-minute pace or a 10-minute pace or whatever for a section.
Or 12.
Or 12, whatever. and then it...
Because it isn't a mountain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so they know, based on a race start time of 6:15 a.m. in this case, that in this case, 8:44 a.m., I should be coming in if I'm on this. So it gives them a very clear, like, all right, at 8 o'clock, we probably want to start paying attention because that's 40 minutes ahead of time. And, if I had a super day, maybe it would be ahead of that, but chances are not. So it gives you very clear times. And then, in addition to that, over here on the right, I hate the fact that I'm putting on glasses and doing this because it definitely makes it look like you're geeking out more than you are.
You're geek.
I have the nutrition that I want, and I have how many that I'm like. So I want to take 3 more apples or 2 apples and 2 nut flavored Spring Energy gels with me, and so they know what they have to give me. And
just reach in the bag, like whatever.
Right. And usually what I'll actually do is say, this is turn 1, give me this pack. It has everything in there. But on top of that, if let's say he comes in and you're like, all right, give me your nutrition. If he hands you 2 gels that he was supposed to eat, he's probably behind on calories, and it's something you should look at. You should look at. Start asking some questions like, hey, are you getting food down? Because he might not want to say it.
Right.
To
You know what I found interesting on this one when I was reading through the crew guide? You can mule for this race. You can carry stuff. That's weird to me.
I think I saw that too.
You can like if you're pacing, you could carry food for them. And a lot of races, they do not allow that. You're supposed to carry all your own stuff. You're responsible. And I did
see that too. I wonder if that is a change.
That's new to me.
Yeah. But you did see that you can.
You
indeed.
can. Yeah. Look at it again.
So if I were you, I would definitely make sure that the race says that. But that is actually kind of nice because then you can say, hey, it's time to eat
like
this.
I got this in my pack that I'm carrying, and I can say, hey, it's time to eat.
And they're going to, chances are they might say, I can't. You got to push them. Yeah. There is the hard love part where you're going to have to say, look, I know that you can't really get this down, but you need to try.
Yeah. And the big part, too, though, is when you get late in the race, there are things that can sit in someone's stomach. Like I know like the broth really
ramen noodles and broth,
yeah.
It's not good?
No,
it is.
It is typically good. For most, it is good.
So there's a lot of salt in it. There's a lot of...
And like for me at Javelina, that was the only thing I could do. I would come up, and so when Mitch paced with me, we would come up to the ace. I'm like, look, dude, we're just going to have to take 5 minutes here. I have to sit down and I have to eat this.
Okay.
Yeah.
5 minutes. He's like the worst aid station sitter.
I don't think I was that bad at a Javelina. I've been way worse. At
hey,
Forest Hill, at Western, I probably spent 40 minutes.
Oh, that was, yeah. And I was like,
40 minutes.
Shouldn't we get going? No, I need my time.
I was not a happy camper at Forest Hill.
I was imagining that they're trying to suck all this stuff down while they're. Sometimes you can do it when you're running, but you can't.
And
able
you
to
should
sit.
if you can.
Okay,
but tell him to take his time.
Yeah.
He has a lot of
nutrition. Yeah, I can see where you're expending a significant amount of calories.
Yeah. Yep.
Where that would be critical. Okay.
So the reason
I like this idea about having the packs ready. I mean, because it's like you know where it is. This is what you got.
You know, like they make, like you can get the big clear Ziploc bags that way you can open that, you can pull it out of a bag and you can look at it and you can see what's inside it. I think that's nice too, because you did that somewhere.
I try to.
So you have one bag, but then you can pull those clear bags out and you can say,
turn on, this is.
And then he would write right on them, like, this is for this.
This aid stations, they knew they just had to grab it for that aid station.
And we'd pull back out of those bags for later stuff too. So it's not like it's just that one, but.
So are you saying that while he's doing all his running and training, because he's running every day, or almost every day, he should be trying out
100%
foods and stuff as he's running?
100%. He should actually, like, let's say he has a 10 miler and you're like, I don't need anything for a 10 mile. He should go run 5, like do a loop back to his starting point with fruit, grilled cheese, whatever. He should eat as much of that as he can and go to the next 5. Because that's what he's going to have to do in the race.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And it's going to slow you down, but it doesn't matter. Like he shouldn't be going out and running his fastest.
His long runs, like his weekday runs, he should be doing whatever he does. But on his he should be doing long runs on Saturday and Sunday at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's where he should be going slower. And he should be eating and then drinking.
Yeah.
And just practicing, because you don't know what your stomach's going to do that day.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, I would err on the side of experimentation. Not really experimentation, but setting yourself up for race day, real world race day stuff. Okay. And that's eating and then running.
That was my favorite in my race too, is they had one aid station that had the smorgasbord, but they had warm ham and cheese sandwiches. Oh my gosh, that tasted so good.
Warm?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They had pizza rolls. I think I ate a pizza, but I was like,
but that's the thing.
I was worried about that really messing with my stomach.
It's whatever looks good, and you're like, you eat it, and you're like, all right, I can eat this. Eat a lot of it.
So I'd walk through the aid station. I'm eating that thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, that tastes good. And then my friend Joe and Jamie, they brought me breakfast burritos from McDonald's. I ate a breakfast burrito. I mean, I was only they got me 2. I was able to eat 1, but I was like, huh?
Isn't that crazy?
Kind of tastes kind of good.
When you get into it and you think it tastes good, and then all you can do, like normally, if you're starving and you weren't running or doing anything, and you got some McDonald's breakfast burritos in front of you, you could probably eat like 5 of those, right? Easy. And you're super calorie deprived, super hungry, and you can barely stomach, getting 1 down.
You would be surprised. Like, you will be hungry. You'll have hunger pains.
And you can't eat.
And you walk up to that aid station, you're like, oh my, that all looks like crap.
And it's an aid station like this. M&M's, Pringles, pretzels, watermelon, pineapple, strawberries,
grilled cheese,
really? Everything
peanut butter and jelly.
Anything that you could possibly think is good. If you're running with.
Oh, okay.
If you're
pacing, you can eat anything you want.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they don't want you to have that stuff. But they have like baked or boiled potatoes and salt. And you just dip it in salt and just plow it down.
So there is a method and a reason behind marking stuff, overdoing things, as far as like he wants to make it as easy on his crew as possible. And it may seem geeky and nerdy and like,
It is.
but it's all in an effort that everybody has a good experience on race day, because you know what would suck is if he doesn't do any preparing, you guys are clueless as to what he needs. He doesn't get what he needs. Even if he does get through the race, it's a miserable time. Like, what's the point of that, right? Making it as easy on the crew as possible is going to at least set you all up to have a good experience or a better experience.
What I want to know as we start talking about this, is this getting you excited to do another 100?
Well, I always enjoy the 100-mile race. I love it. And I would love to do another one. I just right now do not have the motivation to get out there and train for it, because it's a lot of work.
It
is a lot of work. I have to find the motivation in just running, and I think maybe this summer will do that. It
would help if Ashley or Brian run a 100-miler and we get to crew, and I get you back.
Yeah, maybe
I should be out there.
Yeah, it is a ton of fun, and having been in the Marine Corps and pressing myself mentally, that's one of the things I looked for in running, was how could I challenge myself mentally. And it almost is inevitable. You do a 5K and you're like, well, that was this hard. Well, this will challenge me. A 10K, well, half marathon, marathon. Oh, ultra distance or Ironman. Doing triathlons and things like that. It's all a mental challenge. And so,
to me, this sounds like, I think the physical component is probably much easier to overcome than it is the mental piece of it. Because there's got to be something there when you are reached. Like, I already ran a marathon. Crap, I've already ran 2 straight. I mean, and that same day, where your mind starts going, all right, buddy.
That's when you get into the Cocodona 250 type stuff, where 250-mile races.
Ooh, that's next for you then.
I mean, I don't know what's next. I want to do something. I'm just not
He
in
wants
a rush.
to crew again, I think. Here's what he wants to crew. He wants to see that list.
Yeah.
You're dodging a lot here, though.
Well, I just don't. I want to be real, and I feel like I've been. When I'm ready, I'm going to get out there and do it again. I'm being real. I'm just being authentic and vulnerable, and saying I don't have the motivation to do it right now, but I feel I will. And it'll be back, just not right at this moment in this stage. I enjoy this, though. Man, it gets me excited. You going out and crewing for him and him doing his first 100, it's like, oh, my goodness, the feels. It is so good.
This is actually, seems like it's a lot. I'm glad I'm having this conversation, because I really obviously had no idea how involved the crewing component is of it.
It's
I
huge.
had no idea. And I'm excited about, getting things ready and kind of give him the best support as possible, so he can have a good experience.
It's such a fun experience.
It is.
It really is. Like, that's the best. Like, even Western States was amazing both times.
Yeah.
I think I crewed you at
Burning River,
where I did my marathon in the middle of the night because of Clint.
Your 20-mile marathon, I think it was. Or
it was
something.
over. It was
well,
over.
No, it was a marathon, but you were only supposed to run like 20 or 18 or something. It ended up being a marathon.
Yeah, and Clint. Yeah, I owe him. Still.
Clint just thought it was going to be good for Mitch.
Yeah, thanks, Clint.
I will say this. I actually want to thank Clint, because weren't we were planning to pick you up at a place that was not a designated spot.
Can't remember.
Pretty sure we were trying to bend the rules, like what we just said, don't do.
That wasn't supposed to come up now.
I think, and Mitch said, or Clint said no. He'll be fine.
That wasn't why he said no, though.
Well,
he did it.
I think it was both. I think it was a little bit of he'll be fine, just let Mitch run. And it's not a designated spot. So, yeah, Clint and Nicole, I want to know, because if my memory serves me right.
Your memory's not that good.
I'm pretty sure you guys were going to do a pickup point that was not a designated pickup point.
Could have picked
wasn't
me up
an
on
aid
They could
station.
have picked me up on the side of the road.
Well, that's what I think it was. I think we were going to pull, like, there was an area that we were going down.
yeah,
getting
we were
off.
on a road. Yeah.
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 No, but this is interesting for me because you're saying that if you're pacing somebody, you can only pick the person that's pacing at a certain location.
Designated areas. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yep.
Designated area that is approved to pick up, or
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
have to go to the next.
So for this one,
Next aid
it's
station.
those 4 points, and that one is the only place that you can go in and get a person in or out. So it's again,
this one we're talking about.
times 2. So
Now-
for Leadville, it's four aid stations, and he does an out and back. So it's 8 times.
So
that
if
you
you're
can-
pacing him from one location, you can only pick him back up or
Drop
that-
you
for
off.
whoever
drop
that
me
is.
off or pick me back up
Yeah.
at whatever.
Now, I
location
will
Yeah,
say,
it is. Yeah.
if you were
What if
to,
I call 911?
well, yeah, you'd probably be
if
okay.
you're in a bad situation,
Yes.
What if it's just I'm tired and I just want to?
If you were to drop, they're not going to disqualify him
Sure,
because you
sure.
couldn't keep up. Like he'll be
Gotcha,
able to keep going and
gotcha.
say, "Well, he's back there, he's coming," or what.
Okay,
But you
all
will
right.
be. You're not going to be able to have them just come get you on a 4-wheeler, right?
You just gotta
you're going to have to figure
Trek
out a
it
way
through.
to get out.
Okay, all right.
They're
That's
not-
good.
Because it is-
That's important.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's good to know.
It's probably, you'll have to look at the sheet, but it's probably more than a couple miles. You're going to be in there for a while.
Yeah, like Western, it's
I
kind of
don't
nice. It's kind of nice about Western is they have some short.
Yeah, there was a couple that was only a few miles.
Yeah, they have some really short ones, and then they have a couple of long ones. But that's the nice thing about that is you can get, like, I think I had 4 pacers. Yeah, I had 4 pacers. Now the last 2, it's really no, I might have had 4. Jason, Brian, you, and Nicole. Everybody was able to pace. But somebody kind of gets screwed because, like, Mitch kind of got screwed because he ended up getting like a 2-mile section or something.
Yeah, it was really short.
It was really short. But I will say it is a huge pick-me-up for your runner.
Okay.
For them to be able to have somebody with them. If he hangs with Kivy, that's going to be great if that takes place. But I know for me, it is a huge pick-me-up to see my crew. Huge. It is a boost. It carries me for probably the next, depending on how fast I'm going, 3 to 5 miles.
Okay.
And then, it'll start to come down. And
Then you
you're
start looking for the next
looking
cruise
for him
spot.
the next time.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I would highly recommend as a crew, number one, again, just going back, 3 minimum. Know the athlete guide probably just as much or more than your crew notes. Follow I'll share the sheet, but I would have him fill it out and follow it.
And what you want to do is update it with the points.
Yeah, all the Leadville aid stations and distances. I have distances between each one. And then I would fill out the notes section. How many gels or whatever nutrition that he's taking at each aid station that he sees crew, because that's different than aid stations that he's going to see. So there's 8 points.
Yep.
That he'll see crew, but there's whatever 16 aid stations, right? So
Okay, yeah. So then, the only few that we can get to, but he will have
others.
He'll have stuff in between.
Yeah. And being Leadville, it's going to be taken care of really, really well.
Yeah,
And
because that's a well-established rate.
Yeah, and they do things really, really well. So worst case, he can't. But so the other thing we'll just add to this, and this is maybe something more for him, but just so that you understand, they also have drop bags. So drop bags are an area that he can send a bag out to, which they actually do recommend. Starts with I don't remember what it is, but anyway, one of the aid stations that used to be a crew access point is no longer a crew access point, and so they have and do recommend that they send a drop bag out there. And so what a drop bag is he can put all the stuff he might potentially want in this drop bag. They truck it out to that location. So when he hits that aid station, he can go grab his bag just as if his crew is there. He can go through it and grab whatever he needs. He can stuff, like, let's say he was wearing a headlamp and he doesn't need that anymore. He can stuff that back in and they'll bring that back.
Okay.
That's a big one too. I was just thinking about headlamp. If he should be trying to get some night miles in.
Yeah.
He should be testing out headlamps. For me, headlamps make me woozy. I don't like them, so I wear a waist lamp.
Oh, okay.
So stuff like that, like he should be testing that kind of stuff out because he's probably not run at night much.
No.
But
not since the
boot camp.
Yeah, but with me, like when I run, I move my head, and that movement of that light makes me nauseous. And then the tightness of it on my head makes me nauseous. So the combination, I can't do it.
Okay, so that'd be good for him to figure that out.
Yeah,
before that.
Yeah, so that actually
Okay.
that was one of the factors in one of my races is dropping. It was between the headlamp and the chafing, and then I had blisters on my feet, and then I got to the point where I started walking, and my hands swelled up. So I had, just all those things coming at me, and it does. It adds up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I think my stomach turned on top of that. Like I couldn't get stuff down, and it was like, all right.
Yeah,
Too
and
low.
wearing a headlamp, like I always wear a headlamp. The waist ones look cool. I just haven't spent the money to get one, but so I've always wore a headlamp, and I have a nice headlamp too. So I invested in that, and it's nice. But yeah, it can make me nauseous as well. Not usually while I'm running, but when I stop, all that motion stops.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, whoa. Yeah. So you're trying to eat. They don't go together very well. So I would, highly recommend.
And you'll want flashlights and headlamps or whatever you use for the crew too.
Sure.
Good point. That's a good point. You guys should have plenty of, and I'm not talking like a dozen, but at least a couple, if not a few, flashlights. Like it's not just a headlamp, because overnight you want to be able to find what you need to find, right? So,
and he's going to want to carry a backup. He might want a small flashlight or something like that in case his headlamp dies. He's got to think. He's got something to see because it gets dark out there in the woods, and then, but a backup headlamp, stuff like that in case that one does. So you want a couple. It's not a cheap thing.
No, there's a lot to it. Now there are some people
get a good one and then get a cheap backup is what I would do.
And there are some people that can just grind through and are very minimalistic, but man, it's an endeavor, and I just everybody's built different, right? So people can do amazing things with very minimal, and some people doing it, I think it's very impressive. But on the other hand, just going 100 miles is very impressive. It's a long race.
For mine, I never changed my shoes or my shorts. I changed everything on my top like 4 or 5 times because I was sweating and I was getting cold, so I had to get it off and get warm again. But my shoes and my shorts were good.
Yeah, and if they're good, leave them.
Yeah. But he's going to be going up and down a lot, so he's going to be hitting the fronts of his shoes on that down. So you just have to just see how it plays out.
And I know that. So for me, I've done both. I've changed several pair in a very wet race, and I've ran like javelina. I don't think I changed shoes. So I've done both. But I will say that some people go to the extreme. I guess it's not extreme. It's just they go through the process or steps of getting. So like, let's say he wears a size 11, he might, like some people will order a size 12 for late in the race because your feet swell, get bigger, and especially on a downhill, like up and downhill, his toes are probably going to be hurting. And the thing to remember is he's going to hurt. Like he's not going to get through it without hurting. But there's a big difference between hurting and actually being injured, right?
Right.
He's going to hurt, period. It's going to be painful. So just recognize that and just keep going. I think that's a big thing. But yeah, as far as crew goes, I don't know. I hope some of this helps and at least spurs some more questions.
Oh yeah.
And feel free to reach out and shoot Mitch or myself a text or an email and just say, hey, I was thinking about this, or you mentioned this. How do I go about this? And then we will have Josh on if he's willing, and it sounds like he is.
He is.
And we can bombard him with information that will make his head spin and at least hopefully generate some steps in, all right, I should probably be doing this, or I should be doing this, or, So
he's I think he's very aware of that. He knows that he doesn't know some things, and he's wondering what he goes. I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a good. Yeah,
And so he when I mentioned the possibility of talking to some folks who have already done it, he was all about it. So,
cool.
Where's he stationed at now?
He's in Florida.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, he's out in Florida. So
at least he's running some humidity.
he's running some humidity.
It's going to be dry in the mountains, though.
Is
I
it?
would think. Yeah,
Out in
I think
Leadville?
it's a little bit more dry out there.
Okay,
So
and he's trying to do something to help him with the elevation issues.
Oh, is he?
You know, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how much you can do. I know I ran Pikes Peak and at elevation.
Okay.
Nothing prepared me. Like, because he is flatter than flat where he's at right now. So
Yeah,
he's-
right.
The only hills in Florida over the overpasses, aren't they?
Yeah, I would. In something he can consider doing is going to a gym and just doing an incline, stair incline treadmill things that they have, because he's going to be climbing, and it's going to be just like going upstairs, and so he should be doing thousands of feet of stairs.
Okay.
Not like every day, but like
Sure.
doing
Part of
a
his
workout.
Part of
Yeah.
his, yeah. Okay.
and some of the where you're really hurt is the downhill.
Yeah, that's
hard.
true. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. Maybe that's
Yeah.
a long distance to be going downhill.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your quads will get destroyed. And
Yeah.
taking care of that and learning. I guess that's another thing that we can talk to him about too. Is like one of the things at Western States that I saw a lot of comments on and things like that is control your downhills, because if you don't, it will destroy your legs. But if you control yourself and don't bomb the downhills, you can save a lot of that your quads, so that you can do the full 100-mile and not 70 before your shot. So there's a method to that as well, as like slowing yourself down and not just bombing the downhills, because it's fun to bomb the downhills, but you got to
Not
get
for
through
me.
100 miles. So
Downhills can almost be worse than uphills at times.
yeah, I love the downhill. I just love I don't know, picking my way down a technical section, and at least I used to. But yeah, hopefully, I don't know. I hope this has helped, and I know we kind of bounced around a fair amount. So if any of this has sparked some thoughts and questions, feel free to just shoot us an email, and we are happy to help give you a direction. I would highly recommend he checks out Exoskin though, because from the socks alone standpoint, but I would say socks and shorts.
Yeah.
The shirt is the reason I really like the shirt is because of the pack that I wear. With the shirt on, I get zero chafing. They are warm though.
So I have the old. Yeah. It seemed for me it carries a lot of water.
Yeah,
And
they get a
I
little
don't like-
heavy, and
yeah.
they don't. They do breathe, but man, they're a little warm.
But we were talking about the race shirts from Javelina, that soft.
Oh yeah,
That's where I got my latest race shirts, is from that company, because
Oh.
I have not the one from
Rabbit?
Rabbit. So that's
Rabbit Run.
I got race shirts from there. That's what my button down is
Yeah.
from there. And I'm going to try one out tomorrow when I run tomorrow. Not the button down, but one of those soft shirts. Because I tell you, nothing, because you can still get chafed in weird spots, like depending on how hot it is.
Everywhere. Yeah. Everywhere. Yeah. Chafing is a big part of ultras for sure. Yeah. So good. I hope this has helped, and thank you for joining us. I hope this sparks some additional thoughts and questions, and you have time, because it's not until August 19th.
Yeah.
So hopefully you can recruit a couple more crew and go out there and enjoy it. And I guess that's the big thing too, is make sure you guys enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like take in.
It's an adventure.
If they have stuff for crew, do it. Like check it out.
Sure.
Do it. It is such an experience.
At Western, they have that uphill challenge that is a blast.
Yeah, and I'm sure Leadville will have. They might not have like that type of thing, but ultras, especially 100s, recognize that crew is a big piece of a race for people, and so they by and large, most of them do help or try to help take care of crew. And like the whatever the pizza place was that they have a javelina, I mean, that's for the crew. You know, they try to take care of the crew.
Yeah, that's what made me think. I was sitting around all day. I was eating junk food, and I ate a whole pizza.
You had a lot of extra calories.
I did. Just sitting around waiting for you to come in, and then all of a sudden, it's my turn up to pay. So it's like, oh, my stomach is a little jacked up. Luckily, you were walking at that point.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it was definitely a slow first half.
the first half of that loop,
Yeah.
because I had the last loop, right?
Yeah.
My gosh. I had to stop and use, to my benefit at that point, you took extra long at that aid station, and I was able to go use the bathroom, and then I was good to go.
Time.
I was good to go after that.
Yeah, and we did pick it up after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully this has helped, and I hope your son
helpful.
listens. Josh, if you're listening to this, we'd love to talk to you and make your head spin on different things that you can do leading up to this and during the race, and wish you all the best for the race. And I'm looking forward to a follow-up from both you and from Josh after the race to talk about how did it go.
Yeah.
And so any final thoughts or comments from either of you?
No, I really, what's sticking with me is that don't plan on the race officials taking care of your runner.
Yeah.
Right.
You make sure they use them as a backup. I like that approach a lot.
100%. Mitch?
No, I could keep talking about this all day.
I know. And who knows? There could be a follow-up right before the race. Maybe we'll plan a right before the race follow-up, and then after the race follow-up. But I wish you guys the best, and I hope you can enjoy the experience, because it is truly an experience that a lot of people don't get to experience, right? Mm-hmm. So be sure to check us out on Facebook. I said this at the beginning. Subscribe, like, share, do all of that. And with that's going to wrap up this week's episode of the I Don't Know Running podcast. Be sure to tune in next time as we share more about what we just don't know.
Until then, happy running.